Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers. Asking for your help tonight because even though we have record numbers of subscribers here on Reluctant Preppers trying to spread the word about preparedness and self-reliance and awareness, we've been receiving reduced revenue from our YouTube videos being marked as advertiser unfriendly and having to curtail the content and the descriptions, and the topics and the guests that we can introduce. So with your help, we can overcome that and break free of that restriction. If you go to patreon.com/reluctantpreppers, you can make any amount of small or modest or larger monthly donation to help support our mission. We've established goals there to help bring you even more content with the different levels that we can achieve together. Thanks, folks. Check it out, patreon.com/reluctantpreppers. And now, on to our main event.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. We're privileged to have a distinguished returning guest tonight. David Morgan, the silver guru and founder of themorganreport.com, is here with us once again on Reluctant Preppers to give us his expert's insight into the precious metals markets and the future they hold, as well as an unconventional source looking forward for the future of gold mining that most people don't even know about. David, thank you for joining us here again on Reluctant Preppers.
Well, Donegan, thank you very much. It's good to be back with you, and very happy always to do an interview with you.
Recently, we had spoken with you about whether, in fact, the positive and strong breakout from a pretty strong base in the low 16s for silver was going to mark a turning point and the begin of a secular, well, I guess a return to the upward progression of a secular bull market in precious metals, specifically a breakout for silver. And yet over the last month, we've seen almost a parabolic advancement and almost complete retracement. And I wonder if you can give us your insights on whether people should hold tight and if the dynamics that originally convinced you that we were heading towards a positive 2017 for silver are still in place. And this is just the typical market action that can happen in any bull. You can get retracements, or whether something perhaps has changed that we weren't anticipating the last time we spoke.
Well, I think to get an overall perspective on the silver market for free, if you just go to themorganreport.com and put in a first name and your primary email address, and then of course you have to verify it, you'll get the silver price forecast that I put together for everyone for free. And the last interview I think we did, I know I did one, I do usually 2 or 3 a week or 3 or 4 a week, regardless. We talked about breakout at the 6-year downtrend line for gold, and silver was basically right about the same spot. And it looked as if it looked like it might happen, and it did not happen. It got right to there. You can find people on the web of great reputation saying that it broke that downtrend line. I don't know. It was right on it, and I'm not going to squabble over whether it did it or didn't, because the way that we work with our parameters is it would have to break through and have to maintain that level for a certain amount of time on a certain amount of volume, and none of that happened. In other words, had to have some follow through. So I put out a members only video, said I was wrong. It isn't going to do it. And so take the profits that we have, which were around the 1650 level for silver, and I don't know what it was. I think it was 1230-ish or something for gold. And had you done that, they'd be far higher than they are now. As far as where are we going, I don't know. The market does. It looks like, based on the last 60 days of trading, we're probably heading right back down to that 1620 level that silver bottomed at over about a 6-day trading time frame. And it'll hold or it won't. Of course, it's possible we could start up from here, but it seems doubtful. Sentiment's still very low. There's nothing that's exciting the gold markets. Everything that seems to be exciting has to deal with the cryptocurrencies right now. And good for them. I mean, it's really fascinating to watch what's going on in these initial coin offerings. And, someone that's probably a little more staid than me is Frank Holmes. Frank and I are about the same age. I have great respect for Frank. He usually is the lead speaker at almost all the investment conferences that I attend. He always does a fantastic presentation. And at the speakers' dinner, Frank and I sat across from each other. You couldn't stop him talking about, Bitcoin and Ethereum and initial coin offerings and, what these banks are doing with them. And he was really on fire. I made a speech on it as well. But coming back to gold and silver, we probably are more likely now to see this summer doldrums, which is a very strong seasonality. Last year in 2016, both the metals marched up majestically through this normally bad season. But this year it looks like it's going to go the way that it normally does, which is pretty poor price action during the summer months.
On the topic of cryptocurrencies, we've heard more than one speaker, both here on our channel and on others, speaking about how, in a contrast to the strange market trading patterns of the precious metals, where they seem to be able to be knocked down almost an unlimited amount for no particular, on no news, that kind of thing, that the cryptocurrencies in some ways, even though they're arguably one of the more virtual things out there, are trading more like you would expect a free market to trade. And if you could give us any comments on your observations there as far as markets that are appearing to be interfered with and ones that aren't.
Well, I'll probably get corrected. I know that a lot of these people that are in the comments are trolling, and they just seem to get very much joy out of putting other people down or whatever. But there's also a lot of really good information that comes through. Looking at the speech that I gave in Vancouver, boy, there were some really, people that know more than me. I never got up there and clapped my hand and said, now I'm a, cryptocurrency expert. Far from it. But I am learning, and I'm willing to learn more. One of my main premises was the security issue. And a couple people sent in very interesting responses for me to look at. So with that said, are they trading more like a free market? Well, I said on one of those interviews that you can't short it. And somebody corrected me on that, and I really haven't had time to look it up and verify it. So just because someone says it doesn't make it true. But certainly, they seem to be trading as if there's less ability to short them. I'll put it that way. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of institutional participation. I know there is some institutional participation. I don't know how much, and probably someone better studied than me does know what the percentage is. But it's it's time to be not real cautious. I mean, I don't want to negate what I said at that speech just a couple of weeks ago. I said at that speech, based on the volume in Bitcoin, it's got a long ways to go to the upside. It doesn't mean it's going to be straight up. It'll be more and more volatile all the time, but it certainly looks to me like it's far from the apex of what the potential for that one is. And of course, many others that will tag along. And the caution is that some of them will just go along for the ride and really not be worth that much, because there really isn't anything to do. There's not much about them that will keep them, in the market, let's say. I keep using the overused analogy of the .com boom, but some of these are basically just names and an idea. I don't know how much the blockchain, I don't want to misrepresent it. I just know markets. I know all markets, including this one, will have some that kind of come at the last minute. And we're probably not there yet, but really don't have much motive other than to promote it and gather some momentum and get out. I mean, you see that in all markets, and this one will be no different.
If we could turn our attention now to a topic that you have researched at length over the last couple of years. I mean, for many years, you and your staff at the Morgan Report have done research on all kinds of mining companies and others that participate in the research, exploration, production of precious metals. But recently, a few months back, you alerted those who are on your subscriber base to a special opportunity that was coming up of a very unconventional type of mining. In fact, even to call it mining is almost an analogy because it's so breaks the mold of what people think of in that regards for obtaining precious metals. And you gave your subscribers kind of a heads up to that before it became a generally available company on the market. And if you could clue us into what was this research that you've been doing, what is the nature of this company, what are they doing that makes them unique, and how can people find out more information without necessarily having to previously commit to like a extended subscription, that kind of thing?
Right. Well, it's a long story, but it was a friend of mine that brought together a silver mining company, and it was bought out by Keith Neumeyer's company, First Majestic. So everyone did pretty good on it. I wouldn't say fantastic because the market was being beaten up at the time, but nonetheless, from the time I initiated coverage on that company till the time it was taken out, you did okay. And this same person came and told me about this idea he had for off-the-shelf components to be able to do gravity feed milling in certain situations where, we had free gold that could be exposed fairly easily, which means situations where basically you crush up real fine and you just gravity feed it and through water or cyanide solution or whatever, and you come out with the free gold. And, the throughput rates are usually not super great. They're not like 98%, but they can be like 80, 90, depends, and you can tweak the circuit. So he had this idea to put this whole thing together, and they called it a mobile mill. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder why no one else had thought of that. So I watched that whole process take about 2 years, and he finally got 2 prototypes up. So I took everybody, myself, Chris, David, and we all went down to the pilot plant, the mock. It wasn't even a mock-up. It was a functioning mobile mill, one of the 2 that they had made, and watched it perform. There were some other people there with us. We filmed it. We gave it to our people. And unfortunately, the market itself was not, just the metals market was really doing poorly. No one was really interested in mining stocks, even going with a new story that made a lot of sense. I mean, this is a situation what I thought would really help the junior industry, which I don't do a lot with, although I spend a lot of time there, where if you had, tailings or you had a gold resource, but you didn't have the money to put in, 10 million, 100 million for a mill, you could make a deal with this company, have them come in and mill it for you. And this, again, is on a small scale. We're not talking about great, big, huge conglomerates. We're just talking about a lot of the type of companies that are on the Vancouver Stock Exchange that really do have gold. And it's probably in the 4 gram, 5 gram, 6 gram level or something along those lines at mills. And you could actually support your stock and your company without diluting the current shareholders. So I thought, wow, what a concept. You'd actually get this in place. You don't even have to pay for it. You just do a split with the company. So the company that mills the gold with the mobile mill takes some of the gold in payment. The company gets the rest, and they can build up their treasury that way without diluting their shareholders. So I was pretty favorable to this. So I put some promotions out, and it didn't blow up, but it didn't do very well. And then I can't go into a lot of detail, but there were some nefarious creatures out there that these inhabitants that come from other worlds. I'm trying to be funny here, Dunnigan, but these people that wanted to short the stock were very professional at it, and they took the stock down. And of course, it made me look bad. And I've been there before. I don't like it, but it's part of life and it's part of this market. Well, when I was down there on, I think, the 3rd trip, the CEO took me to the side and said, I want you to stay another day. There's this guy that does some chemistry, and I don't know what to think, but it sounds like it's too good to be true, but I'd like you to stick around and visit this with me. And I said, sure, I'll do that. So we went and visited this, and, based on a cursory look at the lab, I told my friend, I would definitely look into this. Of course, you need a chemist, but you want my, thanks for trusting me in my opinion. I definitely would look further into this, which he's done. So the mill company turned out to have access to this reagent that's totally inert. You could basically drink it, not that anyone would, but you could, wouldn't harm you. So that's how inert it is. And this can replace cyanide. So this is a huge market at some point in time. And right now, we're about the only ones talking about it, although there was some stock market short seller that's a professional short seller that wrote it up and talked about he didn't like it. He didn't know anything about it, really. He actually was pretty fair. I'll try to be fair. He was fairly fair. What was funny was he says, well, it's only a 24 million market cap company, and I'll make 24 million a year free cash flow. And he had the wrong metrics. He was guessing at what a printed circuit board's gold content was, when that's true. But he only used that one example. There's something called RAM fingers that have like 100 times as much gold per pound than a PC board. So anyway, he doesn't know all the facts. And even using his facts, it's like a 10-bagger, because if it's selling at one NAV, any good industrial stock, especially these days, the stock market so valued, sends at 10 times, NAV or free cash flow. And so this thing would be like a 10-bagger, even as negative as he was on it. But anyway, having said all that, he took on the agent, gave the guy a license and agreement that invented it. Got the crew I just visited after the Vancouver trip, spent some more time there on my money, which is no problem. I mean, I just, it's part of what I do and need to do. David Smith was with me. They have the pilot plant all set up. They hired a new chemist. This guy's very gung-ho, and everything's working out really, really, really well. And so this was a spin out from the mill company. So I was trying to encourage everybody that had trusted me, that wasn't looking so good on their mobile mill investment, although it wasn't bad. It wasn't like it did horrible, but it wasn't making the money yet. And they were getting this stock on a 10-to-1 split. In other words, for every 10 shares they owned of the mill company, they got 1 share in this reagent company. And that stock has gone up to about our buy limit once, which is 60 cents US. I think it touched pretty close to that. It's backed off. And it's probably worth, 5 times that much, maybe 10. I mean, I've seen the pro forma, but those are just projections. But it will have a big effect. It will have an effect. Whether it'll be huge or not, it remains to be determined. I mean, a friend of mine that's involved with this says, well, David, it's the yellow tennis ball. And I said, what the heck is the yellow tennis ball? I started laughing. He says, once the yellow tennis ball came out, it was more visible, and you never saw a white tennis ball on a tennis court ever again.
Right.
So he's using that as the analogy that once this reagent that takes care of the cyanide problem becomes well known, you won't see cyanide anymore. I mean, I was just doing a little workup here before the interview, and where is cyanide outlawed? In Argentina, it isn't at the federal level, but the Chubut province, Rio Negro, Tucumán, Mendoza, La Pampa, Cordoba, San Luis, La Rioja, all those provinces, no cyanide. Costa Rica, moratorium on cyanide. The United States, Montana, you can't use it. Wisconsin banned it in 2001. European Union voted for motion of a resolution urging European Commission to initiate a complete ban, but it didn't go through. Czech Republic, you can't use it. Germany, you can at reduced levels. Hungary, complete ban. Turkey does not allow cyanide mining due to Article 56 of the Turkish Constitution. So this is those are just the knowns right now, and with more and more push toward being good stewards of the environment. In some cases, I think we're a little late. Excuse my as I digress, but coming back. So this has a huge potential. It could be the yellow tennis ball. We just don't know yet. What we do know is if we eliminate all of the mining, which really is the minor part of the story, the major story is electronic waste. And the electronic waste is huge. The thing about the electronic waste story is if you have this reagent and it works so great with this pilot lab and it can be scaled up, what you have to do is you have to feed it. Like any mill, you have to feed it. So if you have licensing agreements with somebody that's got a couple of shops and produces some PC boards, well, that's wonderful. But if you align with like the number one recycling outfit on the planet. Now it's like having a major mine or a conglomerate, So it's like comparing, let's say, RTZ or BHP with something like, what would be a good one? Avino, which is a favorite stock. I own it. But Avino is a great little company. It's awesome. But they are not one of the major producers. And so when you have this reagent, there is no limit to how much gold you can precipitate out. The limit is how much feed can you get. And that's where the story is. And that's where this guy that kind of made fun of me on that write-up has no concept of what it is. And I can't say it because it's not publicly disclosed yet. So you're going to have to take my word for it. And if it doesn't come through, then, the haters can hate me and the trolls control me. But right now, as it stands, there is a relationship on a test-only basis. And the major company is very, very happy with what they're seeing so far. So the potential of this is very, very good. But as all things I do in a sector, and I've been burned more than once, and I admit it, you got to start small. You want to bet, money you can afford to lose, or maybe slightly more than that, but nothing that will change your life to the downside, but could change to the upside. And if and only if the company develops as they reach their milestones, then you can add more. And this is what very few people in this industry teach. And I have done that many times, where these companies start out and the story sounds great. A lot of them never follow through, can't follow through, something happens, they can't get money, whatever. But in some cases they do, and they hit the milestone, you buy more, and hit the second milestone, you buy more. And it's actually safer to do that because you're buying a different company. You're not just buying the story or just the pilot plant, or, in this case, your investment isn't secured because as an equity holder, you only get to share in the profits. It's only the bondholders that get a stake in the physical assets, which would be, the plant and equipment, the computers and that type of thing. But regardless, it is a real deal. I've been there. It's pretty exciting. I'd like to get more people involved, really. I mean, I am not, Porter Stansberry or any of the Agora group or any of the Casey group or any of these huge marketing arms that have, millions on their email list. We're sitting with about 30,000 or so. But anyone that's interested in this story, get on the free email list. I'll be happy to send you some more information.
So on that note, how can people find out more? What do they need to do to get more information, David?
Yeah, we're following the story pretty closely. All they need to do is just go to themorganreport.com, give me a first name and an email, and you'll get the free silver forecast issue. But every weekend, I put out something for everybody that's on the free e-letter regarding, whatever. Usually it's a question, or I've been doing these weekly updates, as you know, Dunnigan, where I kind of outline the economic system and what's happening in the real world and not the fake world. And also I end with gold and silver, or last week I did it on palladium because we've been real bullish on palladium. We've got that one right. And a lot of our folks that follow us in the palladium market are pretty happy right now. But there'll be information on this, and I can't give everything away for free. We will be giving one of my only exploration companies that I own, that I just bought about 3 months ago, I guess. Some of those people on the free list says, "Well, I can't afford your letter," and I said, "That's fine. I appreciate the information because, if you can't afford our letter, then you probably shouldn't be investing anyway." But they were kind of saying, "Well, why can't you give us one of your picks?" So I decided I would do that. So one of my exploration companies will be out probably within the next few days, a full write-up. I mean, it'd be very similar, not quite to the level that we write in the Morgan Report, but similar to what we do with the research report. And that'll be out for free for everybody, and it's one I actually own, and that is in the portfolio.
Well, if people want to also consider subscribing for a trial subscription to your Morgan Report, they can find that information where?
Yeah, it'll be right in the email. All I have to do is click. I mean, you want a 60-day, no money, money back guarantee, no questions asked situation. You just click a link. It's pretty simple.
All right, then. Those who want to follow up and find more about this unconventional source that could be a future major market shaker-upper of ways that people can extract gold from the electronics waste stream and some new revolutionary technology in that area, go to morganreport.com, sign up for the free newsletter. So, David, any final words before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, I think there's just as you were saying it, there are some other, electronic waste recyclers. I know one intimately. I've known him for years. Great guy, great mind. And there's a couple more out there. I mean, we've investigated all of these, and none of them are even close to what this company. Well, one is fairly close, but they do a different methodology than this one. The other one is very, very good at advertising and getting the word out. In fact, I have friends that used to subscribe. They're telling me, "Oh, this is it," and it's not it. At least not yet. The market's open, it's competitive, and that's the way it's supposed to be. A real free market allows competition. But as it stands, as of this interview, this one company that I have been talking about is far above anything else that's out there right now.
All right. Well, David, thank you once again, as always, for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers. We just appreciate you giving us your insider's view into the research that you do in the gold and silver market, as well as your free information that you extend to those who want to find out more. And there's always more information available beyond that if they want to pursue it. So just thanks once again for joining us here on Reluctant Preppers.
My pleasure. Thank you.